Hi, ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Marcus here. I think I figured it out. The message that I bring is the most holiest message that has ever been delivered. Really, it is more holy than Scripture. And the reason is because it is a manifestation of that part of Scripture that is true. The most holiest message. What is a holy message? A holy message is a message that allows for you as an individual, for the fulfillment of your dreams, for your dreams to come true. That's a holy message. And that's the only way your dreams can come true. And that's through a holy message. And I'm talking about a message, my friends, that emanates from the spirit of love, that emanates from an invisible power that you can't see, can't touch, can't feel, but allow to live in you. And it is an expression of your understanding of God. And if it is a true expression, if it is genuine, you're going to fall short because no one can measure the limits to God's love. And so you will constantly be learning, and your love will be growing. So the love that you can show today is much broader tomorrow if you learn from some other love today. And there's no jealousy in love. Nobody competing about love. You're just loving because love is life. And so a message like that which says that you won't have to worry about food, never. You won't have to worry about clothing and shelter, education, healthcare, or a job, career of your own choosing. Avalanche, all of these things would just continue to happen, but they just would be events of the day. Cars sliding off the highways in wintertime and ices. No, your brains would allow you to overcome that so many times before. And so, I say that this is not the only message. I mean, this message is not only through me. This message is through a lot of us. But for the same reason you don't hear the message through me, you don't hear the message because you are rejecting the message. The message is against everything you've been programmed, you've been trained to understand. The message is totally opposite that. So anytime somebody brings you the truth, you automatically reject it. See, for instance, you have been told that if you're a lover, if you're a child of God, you can't dance. You can't go to parties. One of the biggest lies anybody could have ever told you. A dancing, party, laughing, having fun, that's God. Now, when you start doing things that's despicable as a result of having fun, that's evil. That has nothing to do with God. And you have to control that just like you have to control everything else. The choice is yours. But dancing and having fun didn't make you do that. No. It didn't make you do whatever somebody tried to stop. And then, look, let me tell you something. They tell you about Jezebel. They say she had her fingernails polished and her probably her hair done. She probably had a flower in it with maybe some grapes on it. And she probably had some red lipstick. Red lipstick is something about red lipstick. And she probably had on some fancy attire for whatever that time was. And if you can't imagine that, then just imagine in your own time. Imagine today, some sister, for men's purposes, think they're fine, and really are. Look just like a flower. I mean, one of the most beautiful flowers you can ever see. What's wrong with that? You think that's evil? That's beautiful. And then who looks at it and see it as beautiful is fantastic. And who looks at it and see it as lust, that's natural. But what you do now determines who you are. And what she does determines who she is. And on the reverse, there's some men who exercise all the time. They got 6 packs on their elbow. They just got it lined up. Women, you try to tell men that it doesn't matter, but you be looking at those men. And you be imagining just like men imagine about you. And for the same thing, the same identical stuff that applies to the man applies to you. God is love. All the stuff with folks telling you can't do, these are their limitations. They didn't come from God. So why are you listening to somebody else tell you about this? But one thing about God, God's love. benefits, not just you, but everybody. For instance, eating, food. Everybody on earth, God is prepared for everybody on earth to never be hungry. But there are people all over the earth that's hungry, starving. Why? Because of the policies that men have set up in their efforts to be God, in their efforts to replace God and to make you follow them, or they will kill you. See, they know you don't know that the moment that you die, something miraculous happened to you. I wish I could tell you what it is, but I just can't. All I can tell you what I believe, and what I believe don't mean anything. So I just keep that to myself. So all I do know is this: in the walk of doing what is right, many times you will find yourself coming up against the system in the walk of doing right. And that is the challenge. What are you going to do now? You have to make a decision. What are you going to do now that the decision is required? Are you going to say, I'm not going to rock the boat. I might as well ride this tide this time. Maybe next time it'll be different. Or are you going to say, to hell with this, I ain't going? Now, this much I can tell you is true, ladies and gentlemen. When you do stuff like that, if you're real, you will be ready and willing to pay the cost. I promise you. When you do stuff like that, if you're real, and let me tell you something else that most people can't tell you. While you're paying the cost, other people can only see negativity. All they can see is what you could have been doing if you had just acted this way. You didn't have to go to jail. Your family, but I want to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, when you do things for the right reasons, being led, motivated by the spirit of love, call it God. They lock you up in prison, you feel like a king. I promise you, you can feel just like a king. Whatever they do to you to make you feel pain, whatever they do to hurt you, God takes away all of that. And everybody else see what they already saw. They saw pain. They wouldn't do it because of pain. You were there. You're not going through anything. I mean, the symbols are there, but God takes it all away. You just sit there. I'm telling you. Now, why am I saying this to you? Because the world is set up to do that to you, to prevent you. But if you are real in God, God will do things in you. How do you think Jesus walked on water? I know many people think there's no way in the world that Jesus walked on water. Well, for me, ladies and gentlemen, what I know about God, that's an easy thing, to walk on water. Can I walk on water? I don't have that faith today. But I know one thing, walking on water is not the hardest thing in the world to do. It might be swimming. It's harder than walking on water. But I guarantee you people are swimming. Why? Because they believe they can. And they dare. They don't believe they can walk on water. So they won't try. And when they do, they're going down every time. You got to be real. I'm telling you, you're real and God is with you. Now, I just wanted to say these things because I can't stop thinking, ladies and gentlemen, about how much you really want to live. When I say you want to live, I mean you want to do the things that you want to do. You want to be able to sit down, not worried about bills, not worried about somebody knocking on the door, not worried about somebody calling you on the telephone trying to sell you something, not worried about any of those things. Because the system is set up in such a way till you can address your issues. I mean, it's all there laid out beautiful for you. And you can relax. You can relax with your kids. You're not worried about this vice stuff they get caught up in because life seems to be so boring. No, people are enjoying life, traveling, seeing the world, engaging themselves. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Look like that should be something that grabs you. All you got to do is turn around and stop giving your power to these jokers who trying to rob you, who's stealing from you. Look at our brothers. Come on, I don't have to tell you that. Let's just cut this out, all right? Now, I want to tell you that I want you to enjoy the life that you dream of. The master wants you to enjoy the life you dream of. But people like what you just see those Republicans trying to do, they don't want you to live the life you dream of. And even the ones that's not over there with Trump, the other conservatives, they want to be a little bit more decent. They talk about Jesus and the Sermon on the Mount, but they don't want to be like God requires you to be. And that's not just stopping with the Republicans. Look on the Democratic side. Have they ever wanted you to experience the life that God has designed for everybody? Heck no. They ain't even made sure that you can live the life that they live or the life that the Republicans live. These people out here going through kind of changes, and you're still listening to them. When you start talking about listening to God, ladies and gentlemen, what basically happens is that you've made up your mind. You as an individual have made up your mind. As an individual have made up your mind. And it doesn't really matter what anybody else says. You're going to start standing up. You're going to stop saying these $15 jobs doesn't mean anything. You're going to say it's not enough for you, and it's not enough for your brothers and sisters who don't have the understanding, who don't have the spirit of love to guide them. Let them know that they've been taught to believe, to accept this crap. But let them know that there's a God that says, no, baby, this ain't going to help your dreams to come true. This is just going to make you be what they call a sinner man, trying to struggle. Somebody told you work by the by the sweat of your bra, something like that. Yeah, well, you know what that means? That means as long as you crazy, as long as you stupid, as long as you foolish, as long as you walking without the understanding of God. That's what that means. And to get yourself out of that bag, you better get your relationship with God. Now, God ain't hurting you, and God ain't hurting nobody else. And any God that come to help you and they're hurting somebody else is from the pit of hell. And you send them right back where they come from. And tell them Eddie B told you to do that. All right, I think that's enough about it now, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time. Have a good one.